Right guys, can you go out and buy or build a reasonable gaming PC without a dedicated GPU in 2021? Stick around to find out. Hello viewers, Tyrone here of Ty's Tech Tips, bringing you the news of gaming and streaming hardware in 2021. It's going to be a tough year for the PC gamer if you're looking to upgrade anytime soon, especially in the graphics card department. This video will answer a simple question. Can you source a reasonable gaming PC in 2021 without paying the ridiculous price of graphics cards at the moment? And if you can, how do you go about it? As per usual guys, links in the video description down below for any relevant websites, and of course timestamps for the relevant sections that I'm going to be talking about. If you haven't done so already guys, please consider giving the channel a subscription and a like to the video because it would help me out greatly. Thank you very much guys, we'll get on with the video. Rightio guys, the first way to get an entry-level gaming experience with a PC in 2021 is to get yourself an APU. This is just a fancy acronym for Accelerated Processing Units, and an APU combines traditional CPU cores with dedicated graphics cores. Nice and simple. Pretty much all Intel CPUs apart from the F variants are APUs, as are all AMD G-series CPUs. For example, the 4600G or the 3400G or the soon to be released 5700G. This means these products can technically game so long as you're prepared to sacrifice resolution, frame rate and quality settings. APUs will allow you to get started with a PC. So parts such as the Intel i5-10400 and the AMD 3400G fall into this category and can be purchased brand new, coolers included, for between £150 to £200 or $150 to $200 US. The good thing here is you get a CPU and GPU in one. So once you pair these with other core components such as motherboard, RAM, storage, PSU and case, you can get down to some gaming right out of the box with very little setup. Of course, the downside to this is the performance is very entry level, and I mean incredibly entry level. Think low settings at 720p for 40 to 50 frames per second, or the equivalent of Xbox 360/PS3 levels of graphics power. The next way you could spend your money is to get yourself a higher end APU. So we're talking around the £300 or $300 plus range in this section. And in the high-end APU sector, you really only have AMD to work with, as Intel's integrated GPUs are very weak in comparison. So for this region, you're looking around parts such as the 4600G or the soon-to-be released 5700G. The positive here is these parts offer a lot more CPU cores, performance and threads compared to the cheaper APUs previously mentioned. In fact, they often match the performance of what is considered high-end CPUs, the equivalent of 10700Ks or even 5800Xs from AMD. In addition to this, the CPU will remain strong for a good couple of years, as they offer similar performance to the CPUs in the brand new Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5. The downside here is obvious increase in price of the part, as well as other components. To get the best out of an APU, you generally need more system RAM and faster RAM as well, as the GPU cores on the APUs, performance is directly linked to the speed and quantity of RAM, so you will end up spending more in this part. In addition to the likes of the 4700G, at least at the time of making this video, it is an OEM part. OEM stands for Original Equipment Manufacturer, which means these parts usually only get sold to pre-made PC builders such as HP, Dell, Lenovo, the list goes on. This means you most likely need to pay for a pre-built PC to get access to one of these APUs. This isn't usually a bad thing if you're after a whole PC, But for PC builders who just need to upgrade a singular part, you may need to spend more money on extra parts or go into the second-hand market on things like eBay. It's up to you what decision you make there. And finally, while the CPU performance is strong in these more expensive APUs, the graphics performance is still not amazing. You may get up to a 1080p 60fps experience on lower settings, but it's still not what you would expect from a gaming PC going into 2021. Especially when the new consoles can run 4K 60fps quite easily, and that is 4 times the resolution of 1080p, so in theory is 4 times more powerful for not a lot more money than just one part. The next plan, or the next idea you can go out and do, is simply go and buy a cheaper dedicated GPU. Now I know I said you can get a PC without a dedicated GPU, but the very cheap end of the entry-level GPU market still offers something worth of value, so I thought I'd mention it. If you're looking at 4GB VRAM cards from a couple of generations ago, so you're looking at Nvidia's 1050 Ti as an example, or AMD's RX 460, you can get these cards for around the £150 mark. And at this price level, you're talking about running most games at 1080p 60fps with high settings, not quite ultra, but quite high settings, or running esports titles like Apex, Valorant, Fortnite, CSGO, you get the idea, at 720p low settings near 120 or 144 frames if you prefer the higher frame rates. These cards are lower power options as well, usually offering drop-in, play options for any modern PC from the last 5 or 6 years, so long as they have a reasonable power supply. So it is worth mentioning the cheaper dedicated GPU here. One word of advice, don't look much further up the performance tiers from here as you start running into those crypto miner prices for cards. For an example, the RX 580, which was released in 2019 for about £200 or $200, retails for about £300 to £350 or dollars currently. So that's a massive markup on 2 generations old graphics cards, and it's quite an insult, a bit of a joke actually. And the last reasonable plan, and one that's going to upset the PC hardware enthusiasts out there, is simply don't upgrade your PC this year and go and spend that money on an Xbox Series X or a PlayStation 5. Right now I can hear the PC Master Race subreddit absolutely barbecuing and massacring me right now. Literally hear them singing "Bring Me His Head" and all sorts for saying something like this, but it is the truth. Either of the new Xboxes or PlayStation 5s offer the best gaming experience for anything under the $600 to $700 range at the moment. You will not find anything close to one of these new machines in the PC world for CPU or GPU power. And while this channel is all about PC hardware and more specifically streaming hardware, I would be selling people short if I didn't at least mention the value that the new gen consoles bring to the table, especially if you just want to go home and have a play of a game, or if you casually stream. For example, the new consoles can stream at 1080p 60fps, pretty much no problem with the built-in encoders. And you know the investment you spend on a console now will last you a good 6 to 7 years, or until the next generation of consoles are released. As a bit of a side note guys, I thought I would quickly mention the current situation of crypto mining for everyone to get to grips with it. Ethereum mining has blown up in a far bigger way than Bitcoin did back in 2018, simply because more people understand what cryptocurrency is in 2021. This is a major contributor to the gargantuan price hikes of the mid-ranged and above GPUs in 2021, and personally I do not see these prices coming down anytime this year. The inevitable cryptocurrency crash will happen at some point, as someone out there will start making far more efficient ASICs to mine Ethereum in the same way as they did for Bitcoin. When that happens, the market will flood with battered and abused GPUs, and the normal MSRP prices for the GPUs will be restored. But as I mentioned, that day is not going to happen this year. So if you've been holding out for a GPU upgrade, you'll likely be waiting at least 9 or more months. And no, the newly released nerf cards such as the RTX 3060 and the 3080 Ti's that Nvidia are releasing, this will not stop miners buying them. Simple as that. I do plan on doing a separate video explaining why cryptocurrency has had such an effect on the market, but that's out of the scope of this particular video. Right guys, so there are a few ways to get a gaming PC in 2021, as long as you're willing to think outside of the box a little bit. APUs are a quick way to get into PC gaming space as cheaply and quickly as possible, but of course you do give up a lot of graphical horsepower for that privilege. Higher end parts can act as a top end CPU as well, but you still won't get the graphics horsepower of the current consoles in any APU for probably 2, maybe even 3 more generations. If you're a PC builder or want to upgrade your graphics card this year, I would say don't bother, and either wait out the storm or use your GPU money to upgrade the rest of your platform, with the aim to look at a GPU upgrade in 2022. If you're buying a brand new PC, just get yourself a current gen console for £500 and look at PCs in 18 months. If you have a lot of money to spend, and we're talking £1,500+ or dollars to spend on a PC, you could go and get a pre-built or pay the scalper prices for the GPUs at the moment. But this is a serious waste of money in my opinion, as this money could be better spent on your whole gaming experience or your whole streaming experience. You could go and use that money to upgrade your studio for better lights, cameras, video creation software, capture cards, you get the idea. Anyway guys, thank you very much for watching the video. It's been a pleasure doing it. Don't forget to give the video a like or a dislike depending on how it helped you, and hit that sub button to help a noob like me hit the 20 subscriber mark by the end of March. Well, that's my goal anyway. I also stream on YouTube and Twitch at 7 PM Tuesday and Thursdays GMT and 5 PM Sundays GMT. Link to all that stuff down below as per usual. Thank you very much for your time guys, and I will see you all next week for the next video.